Hello everyone. In this tutorial, we're going to go through how you can create and manage your courses and sessions. So here I've logged into my TrainEasy backend. To begin creating your first course or session, you're going to go to this option here called Courses and Sessions. So let's go over the options that are available in this submenu. So if I expand the menu, the first is Add New. This is where you create either a course or a training session. Clicking it, you can see you have three different options. The first is online course. Then I have training session with online classes. So let's define what these options are. An online course, as I've said in the previous tutorial, is simply a training that goes on exclusively online. It's a course that students enroll for, and they can take different classes, take tests, submit assignments to, etc. So basically an online course, as the name implies, is a course that is exclusively online. It has no physical location, and it's just online. A training session, on the other hand, typically is an event that happens in a physical location. So if you create a training session, as we would see, you can get to set the venue and the start and end times of different classes. So that's what a training session is. Now, a training session with online classes, this option caters typically for blended learning. If you were going to have a training session, which primarily is going to happen in a physical location, but you'd also like to have online classes that will supplement your physical classes. So if that's the case, you can create a training session with online classes. Now, the other options, we have all courses and sessions. This is just for you to be able to browse all the courses and sessions on your account. Then manage categories. This is typically just for online courses. Usually you would want to, if you're going to have a lot of courses on your platform, you'd like to categorize them by some criteria. And so if that's the case, you can create and manage the categories over here. Payments. If your courses or training sessions require payment, you can view the list of all the people that created a payment over here. Now, transactions. This is typically for offline payment methods. Let's say your students want to pay via a bank deposit or funds transfer. In such a case, such students who select such payment methods while they are ordering for your course are not automatically enrolled into the course or session. So when they select the payment method, their transaction is still pending. And so when they contact you confirming that they have made payments for your course, if you go to this page, you can see the list of pending transactions and the course the student is trying to enroll for, how much they're expected to pay. And so you can easily approve the transaction on this page. Once their transaction is approved, then the student is enrolled into the course or session. So let's create our first online course. I'm going to click on the online course option under Add New. All right, so this takes me into my Add Online Course page. This option gives you a setup wizard that you can use to navigate while creating your online course. So I have different options here. The first step of the wizard, which is the info option, I have course name. Course name, as the name implies, is the name of the course. So there's no ambiguity there. Short description. This is just a 300 maximum character description of your course. Typically, this short description is displayed on the page that lists all the courses, or at least all the courses in a category. So it gives your students a short overview of what the course is about. Then we have course description, and mind you, all fields that have this red asterisk are mandatory. I believe it's stated here, field marks and star are required. So once you see this, you know that you have to fill the field to complete the wizard. So the next, here we have a rich text editor that has the course description label here. And so this course description is the detailed description of your course. Over here, you want to write exactly what the student's going to expect from the course. And this is a rich text editor, so you can apply advanced formatting to the description. So you should get as detailed as possible while filling this field. Introduction. So this is a short introduction that students will see after they've successfully enrolled into the course. So it's not displayed on the catalog page, on the course catalog page that lists your course, or the course information page where they get to enroll. So it's after they've successfully enrolled, they get to view the introduction that is here. So you'd want to just put in what the student should prepare, if they need some materials, whatever they need to get ready for the course. Then the cover image. The cover image is a fancy image that is displayed. Let me go to my front end. I'll probably like to show you an example of that. But it's usually highly recommended for presentation purposes to add a cover image. It typically should just be an image that depicts what your course is about. So I'm going to open the front end and show you an example of that. So over here, you can see this list. I have, this is the cover image for these courses that exist. This is the course name, and this is the short description I told you about. So you can see the importance of filling a good short description. It just gives your students a short description of what the course is about. So I'm going to go ahead and create a course here. So let me just write my new course. A short description. All right, this is a description of my course. And then a long description. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this a couple of times. Okay, so let me take that back. And copy this. All right, so I've gotten a short description. Introduction, just type, this is an introduction. All right, so for a cover image, I'm going to click the browse. Clicking browse opens your image manager where you can get to select an image from either your computer or an existing image. So if I want to upload a new image from my computer, I'll simply click this this upload files button. You can see this floppy disk icon here. This is where you get to select an image that exists, or a file that exists on your local machine. So I'm going to click it. Here you can drop a file, or paste the URL, or select a file from, or folder from your machine. So I'm going to click on select files here. Alright, so this now shows me the different images that I have on my computer. So I'm going to select this image here, and then it uploads the image. We'll wait for it to upload. Okay, so I have this image, and so simply double click the image, and then the image is going to appear over here. There we have it. The image is there. So click on the next button to get to the next step of the wizard. I'm going to scroll up. So now the next step of the wizard, we get to see the different options required for, now all these options are, most of these are optional. Some have a default value. The first is payment required. You select this option to determine whether or not your students will need to make payment for this course or training session. So if it's a free course, you can leave it as the default, which is no. If you require payment, you select yes. So if I select yes, then the next option is the course fee field. Now this field is only has an effect if and only if the payment required field is set to yes. If you set it to no and you set something there, it really doesn't have any effect. Students can still just enroll for the course without making any payment. So effort. effort typically is what you just enter to specify the amount of as the word implies, effort the students would have to put in into taking the course. It's just something you put in based on your own estimation. It's nothing technical. So if you estimate the student's going to take 1 week to complete the course, you can say if you estimate students will need to maybe like put in 3 hours every week or 10 minutes every day, it's just up to you. So I'm just going to write 10 hours per week. I'll just write 10 hours per week. All right. So I'm going to just move this to 10 hours. All right, 10 hours per week. So the length, this is an estimation of how long it will take for the students to complete the course. Now these fields are optional, but it's advisable to fill it in. So I can just say 2 weeks. All right. Then now over here we have course categories. If you haven't created any category before, this option would be blank as it is now because I haven't created any categories yet. So if you have categories, you'll be able to select any category. You can only add a course to one category, and you'll be able to add the course to that particular category. So the next is the status of the course. The default is disabled. Usually you would leave it as disabled while you're first creating your course, and then after you've completed building your course, you've added all your classes, you've added your lectures, your videos, and everything is ready, then you can edit this course and change this field to enabled. Once it's disabled, students will not be able to enroll into the course. Another thing to note is if you set this you make it enabled and then students enroll, and then at a later date you set it to disabled, what that does is that it hides the course from your website, so from the front end, so no new students are able to enroll. However, students who have already enrolled into the course can still access the course. So if, for example, you want to stop selling a course, but you still want people who have already paid for the course have access to it, you can just set it as disabled, and they would still have access. So here we have enable discussions. This enables the student and instructor chat. If you want your students to be able to communicate with the instructor for that course, then you can make it yes, which is the default. If you do not want students to communicate, maybe it's just a low-cost, free course, and you don't want them to, you don't want to commit yourself to attending to students directly, then you can make it no. Then we have live chat, enable live chat. In the previous tutorial, when we talked about settings, we saw where on the settings page you could add a live chat code to your site. So if you've already added live chat and you make this yes, then the chat box will be available, your chat widget from your chat provider will be available to students while they are taking the course. So if you haven't set up a live chat widget on the settings page, then even if you set this to yes, it wouldn't have any effect. All right, the next option is enforce class order. Now this option means if you make this yes, what it means is that students will have to take each class according to the order that you specify. So so if a student wants to jump to another class, they wouldn't be able to do so without first completing all the classes before that class. So I'm going to make that yes. Then enable student forum. If you would like your students to be able to discuss among each other while taking the course, then you can enable the student forum. Students can't see a list of other members of other users that are enrolled into the course, but they can only see discussions and topics and replies that other people create. So your students' privacy is still guaranteed even if you enable this. However, if you make it if students create topics, other members, other users will get notified that there are new topics periodically. So I'm going to make that yes. So let's click on the next. The next option is, and the next step of the wizard is scheduling. Here we have different options, which is the course start date. All these are optional. We have the course start date. This, if you want your course to begin at a particular date, then you can set this is a date picker. You can set this date. So what it means is that students will be able to enroll, but they wouldn't be able to. No, students will not be able to enroll. Sorry, before the course start date. So, but the course will be available on your platform, but students will not be able to enroll. And then the course end date. After this option, if you set this option, then students will not be able to enroll beyond this date. And then enrollment closes. If you want to close enrollment for the course at a particular date, then you can set this option. So if I go back to this, I believe I made a mistake here. The course start date just displays the date the course is supposed to start. Students can enroll, but they won't be able to start classes. Yeah, they won't be able to start classes before the course start date, but they will be able to enroll. But you could close enrollment before, you can close enrollment after the course start date. So let's click on next. All right, the final step of the wizard is instructors. Now, instructors are typically the admins, or as the word implies, instructors that will be responsible for responding to students and getting notifications on students' activity within that course. Now, one thing to note is that it's important you set your instructors here, because if you want your instructors to be able to, say for example, add new classes to a course, or if you want them to be able to set attendance for the course, or not even attendance, that's set automatically. Maybe I want to say set homework. If you want them to be able to set homework or set tests or upload resources for the course, then you would have to select the courses instructors here. As you can see, I can actually select multiple instructors using this control. So once at the end of this wizard, you simply click on the finish button. So I'm going to click that button. Okay, so once the course has been created, you'll be automatically redirected to this add your first class, to this manage classes page. And it prompts you here to add your first class. And on this pop-up, we have two options. One is called new class. The other is existing class. So these are two different tabs that you can use to add a class to your first class to your course. So if I click on the new class here, the different fields which are used for creating your first class. And typically, let me explain what a class is as far as TrainEasy is concerned. A class really is a collection of lectures. And lectures are the actual the things that collate the actual content for the course. So a class can have multiple lectures within it. Some people would also use the word module. In TrainEasy, we use the word class. So for a class, you would want to create a class that is descriptive of all the lectures, the general topic of all the lectures that it's going to contain. So over here, I'm going to put in my first class. Now, test required. This option specifies if you want a student to complete a test before they can finish a class. This is usually very helpful to ensure that students actually take your class, because it is possible for a student to just click on the next button while going through your class. But if you want to make sure that they've actually digested the content of the class, of all the lectures in the class, then it's very beneficial to give them a test to take after they have completed the class. So if they fail the test, then they wouldn't be able to proceed to the next class. So they would have to take on the lecture, go through the lectures again, and retake the test. So if I set this to, if I check it, it means the test is required, but I'm going to uncheck that right now. If this option is set, then you can now select the test from this drop down. So if I select this drop down without making this test required, this wouldn't have any effect. So over here I have the enforce lecture order. It's similar to the enforce class order option that we had while creating the course. This just ensures that students must take the lectures within this class in the order that you specify. So here you can add a brief description for the class. This just describes what the class is going to be about. Then introduction. This is also an introduction for the class. After they see the class, they can once they get to the class, they will actually get to see this introduction. Now this brief description for the class actually displays on students can actually see this description of the class before they enroll into the course. Let me go to this page and show you an example. If I click on the details page here, let's wait for it to load. Alright, if I scroll down here, I can see a class tab. And so you can see this description here. Now this description is what is filled in this brief description. As you can see, I haven't yet enrolled into this course, but I can see the description here. So typically it's good for marketing purposes, so that if a student wants to know what exactly they're going to get from your course, then they will most likely click this button to see the list of all the different classes that you have in this course. So it gives them an idea of what they're going to be learning. So it's very, very beneficial to fill in this description here. But the introduction, on the other hand, is only seen by students that have actually enrolled for the course. So it's when they're about to actually take this particular class that they're going to see this introduction. So let me just fill this here, my class description. And over here I'm going to fill on the introduction, my class introduction. Okay, so here we have class groups. This is just a way for you to organize your classes. If you have groups previously, if you've created groups previously, I'll cover that in a later tutorial. Then you can actually group your classes. This is just beneficial if you are reusing existing classes, because you notice there's a group here that you can use to filter your classes. So it's just for organizations. It's so I'm gonna omit that because I haven't even created any group previously. Then there's a sort order, which is optional. You can just leave that because it will automatically determined. And then there's a cover image. This is also useful for setting an image that is displayed as the description for the class. If you set a cover image for the class, it's going to actually also be displayed over here beside this description. So I'm just going to select this image for the class. Okay, so once everything is set, I'm just going to click on Save Changes. Okay, my class has been created successfully. Now I can see the info here says class added, and I can see this my first class. Over here I can see under the lectures column is currently 0 because I haven't yet added any lectures to this class. And then opening date. Now say for example you want your students, if you're having a course that you want to span a particular duration, say I want my course to run from November, the 1st of November to the 30th of December, then I might want to say that I want my students to take one class every week, and then the next class is only going to open in 2 weeks in a 2-week interval. So I want maybe on the 1st of November one class would open, then in the 3rd week in November another class would open, and then the 1st week in December another class would open, so that maybe students can have time to digest and practice what they learn in your class. Then you can actually set an opening date for your class. I'm going to leave that for now. Here we have edit, which enables you to edit the details of your class. There's manage lectures, which enables you to add content, actual lectures into your class. And then there's a delete button, which gives you 2 options. One says remove from course only, the other says delete class completely. So if I want to remove the course if I want to remove this class from my course, but I still want to keep this class and its lectures, then I can click remove from course only. So in that case, the class would still be available if I want to add it back later, either to this course or to any other course for that matter. But if I click delete class completely, then the class is going to be removed completely from my application, as well as any content that I've added into the class. So I'm going to click on the add class button again. This time around, let me click on existing class. So I have some different classes here. Let me select this class. Clicking select just simply adds the class to this particular course. So I have this key skills. The classes are automatically added in the order that you add them. So the number here shows the order. In this column, it shows the order of the classes and which one will be first. So it starts in ascending order. So my first class is the first class the student will take, followed by key skills. But if you want to change this order, you can do that easily just by dragging and dropping. So if I drag this class here, it's automatically saved and renamed. So I have the order is reset. So I have this key skills as my first class and my first class as the second class. So let me just rearrange that back. Okay, so next, let's click on manage lectures and actually start adding content to our class. So if I click on the manage lectures option, it opens in a new tab. Okay, so I see class lectures for my first class. So you click on the add lecture. I'm going to write my first lecture. Save changes. Okay, let's wait for that to load. Okay, it says lecture added. Now add some content to it. So here you get to actually add the content for this lecture. Like I said, you're going to have multiple lectures in a single class. It all depends on the structure of your course. Some courses just have one lecture in the class, but it's all up to you. So if I click on add lecture content, you can see the different type of content that you can add into your course. So the first option is text. This is just, as the word says, just ordinary text for your course. The next is video. Now, it's video from library. Now, TrainEasy gives you the option for uploading videos into your TrainEasy application for secure on-demand streaming for your students. So if I've already added a video into my library, that'll be covered later, then I can just click from library and I'll have the option of adding the video. So the next option after video from library is external video. Now, if you have videos that you've uploaded to services such as YouTube or Vimeo, then you can actually embed such video into your lectures. That is, and now the external video, there are two options for external video. We have external video from URL, and there's external video via embed code. Let me just click this just to show you what it's about. If I click external video from URL, this makes it very easy for you to add your external video. You can simply just paste the link to the video, and TrainEasy will automatically get the embed code for that video and embed it into your TrainEasy application. Now we have three options that we support, which is YouTube, Vimeo, and Instagram. So you can actually add videos from any of these sources. But there are different type of video hosting websites. So if you want to add video from a site that is not listed, not among these three, you actually can. And that takes us to the next option, which is external video via embed code. So if I click this, you can actually get a code from the video hosting service and paste the code here and enter in the title for the video and add it to your lecture. So the other content we have after that is image. So if you want to add an image that shows up quite large and is zoomable and can be like a slideshow on your in your lecture, then you can add the image there. Doing so just brings up this pop-up where you can select the image from your file manager. So then we have HTML code. This is typically if you want to add, this is usually for programming related courses. So if you want to put raw HTML code, or if you want to put some dynamic code really, then you can actually use it here and it will add into your lecture. It would display in your lecture as raw code. So the last option here is quiz. Now if you add a quiz here, you can put in the title and the quiz description, and this will take you to another page where you can add a short quiz that your students can take at the end of a lecture. Now a quiz is different from a test. I showed you while we were creating the course, so while we were creating the class, that you can assign a test to it. Now a test is a graded, the difference between a test and a quiz is that tests are graded, meaning that students can actually, results are saved when students take a test, and they can get an A or a B, they can pass or fail. A quiz, on the other hand, is just a simple Q&A for and multiple choice quiz for students to test their knowledge after they take a particular lecture. Remember, tests can be taken at the end of a class, and you know a class can have multiple lectures within it. But you can add a quiz at the end, or not necessarily at the end, it can be at the beginning or within any point of your lecture. So it's usually good for people to test their knowledge of the class. Now, beyond these options, at the bottom, after this divider, we have import PDF and import PowerPoint /ODP. These options make it easy for you to add content that you already have from existing materials, either they're in PDF or PowerPoint slideshows. Now, if you choose import PDF, you'll be able to actually upload your PDF file and select the number of pages. You can select all the pages or a range of pages, and this would add your lecture content as text. Now, if the PDF contains images, they will also be added, but it will all be as text, because in this text option, we actually have the option of adding images. You can actually select the image box here and add images to your lecture, even if it's a text. But what we mean by text is that it's multiple content, really. So you can even embed videos from external source. You can add scripts, you can add anything as a text. But when you import PDF, it would add as a text and import all the pages that you select as text elements. So if we import PowerPoint, on the other hand, importing PowerPoint would create images of all your PowerPoint slides. So your students will see them as they would import as the image type, the image content type in your lecture. So let's go ahead and add some content. I'm going to start by adding a video from my library. So if I click video from library, it opens up my video browser. So here I get to see all the videos that I've added previously on my account. If you want to add a new video, just click on the add videos button. This takes you to the page for uploading new videos. So you can just click add videos and select the video from your local system and upload. So I'm just going to go ahead and select a video that exists already and add it to my lecture. So over here there's a play button, so you can actually play the video just to be sure of what kind of content is in the video. So I'm going to click select. Alright, so I have this video here. Let me add another content. I'm going to add image. Let's add an image. I'll say my image content. Let's select browse here. Okay, I'm going to select this image All right, save changes. Okay, and finally, let me add another video. Okay, I'm just gonna select this video preparation. Okay, all right, now note this. We have a warning. I tried to add more than one video, and it says this here. It says that for security purposes, you cannot add more than one library video to a lecture. If you wish to add more lectures to this class, create a new lecture and add the video there. So this is for technical reasons. You can only add one of your videos that you've uploaded into your site, into your lecture, I mean. So if you want to add another video, you just go ahead and create a new lecture and add the video there. So I'm going to let me add another image. So I'll say my second image. Okay, let's select an image. All right, let's save this image. Okay, so we can work with this now. So we have 3 contents that we have added to this lecture. If you want to see get an overview of what the content is actually about, you can click on this arrow or anywhere on this control, really, on this panel, and expand the content. So over here, it shows the type of the item. Over here, we can see that it's a video, and it shows that it's a video from the library. So even if I want to play the video, I can actually click on the video, and it opens up the video player page. So you can actually play the video there. So let's go back. If I close this, here we have this as an image content, and it says image here. So I can actually expand this and see the image. If I can click it to expand it, and it shows what the image is. So as I said previously, images can be expanded, and if I have multiple images, I can actually scroll through them. Like if I click the next button here, you can actually see the next image that is on the lecture. So if you have a slideshow, you can actually use this image feature for that. So let's close this. All right, so I have my 3 contents for my lecture, and my lecture is set. However, what if I would like to, first of all, let's say if we want to rename this, the title of this content. Now, the video that was added, this was the name of my original video file. When you import a video into TrainEasy, the name of the video is what is used when you add it to a lecture. So, but if you want to change this, you can just click on the edit button, and this brings up the editing pop-up, so I can change the title of the video. Let's remove those numbers and click Save Changes. All right, so you can see that the title has been changed. And now, what if you'd like to change the order of the images? Remember how we were able to drag and drop the classes to rearrange them? Well, we can do that also for the lecture. So if I click on this icon here, I can just drag my images, my lecture content, and the sort order is automatically updated. So you can set the order of the content this way. So I have my lecture complete. So what if you like to see have an idea of what this course is going to look like? What you can do is go to my courses and sessions and click all courses and sessions. Let's open this in a new tab. All right, so this is the course that I just created. Your most recent courses by default would appear at the very top. So the type is online course. The total attended shows the total number of people who have attended at least one class in the course, and total enrolled. This shows the total number of people that have enrolled for the course. So if you actually click this, as you saw just now, it would actually show it would show a list of all the students that have enrolled. If I click on the total attended, it will show the list of all the attendees for for this course, and shows the number of classes they've attended. So the status of course is still disabled, but even if it's disabled, you can actually preview your course to just get a view, a feel of what the course is going to look like. So let's click Actions, and there's an option here that says Try the course. So if I click this, it opens the course as a demo. Let's wait for it to load. Alright, so you can see the introduction that we created for the course. It shows here that it says this is an introduction. We have a table of contents which shows the different classes that we have for the course. You can see we have two classes here. It shows that this first class has one lecture. This was a lecture that we just created. And then we have resources. Now, optionally, you can upload resources to your course. The progress shows a student will get to see their progress, and this is the place for discussions. So let's click Start Course. Alright, so it takes you to the first class in the course, which is my first class. And then here is the introduction. You know, when we created the class, we added an introduction to that class. So it shows here my class introduction. So this is the introduction for the class. So now let's click Start Class. Alright, so now this takes us to the first lecture. When you click Start Class, the student gets to see the first lecture. You know, in the my first class, we only created one lecture, which is my first lecture. And so here's the lecture, and these are the images students can click. And so if we click Next, clicking Next, the student gets to go through the different content in the class. This is a video they can play, and the video starts playing. So if I click Next again, it's another image. So once that is done, the student gets to click on Complete Lecture, and that class is completed, and they are led to the next class in the lecture, which is in the course, which is Key Skills. So I click Start Class. They get to start this particular class as well. So that's how to preview your course. So you'd probably want to do this a lot while you're creating your course, just to make sure that everything is working as you plan. So that is it for creating an online course. Now, creating a training session. I explained what a training session is. A training session is an event that is going to happen on a particular date. A training event is going to happen on a particular date. Creating it is quite similar to creating an online course. We have a wizard which is similar to setting up the course. So if I'm going to write my training session, I can add also a short description, just like the course. I'll say my description. All right, so over here you can add a detailed description for this session. You can say my session description, detailed description. All right, and here we can add the venue. This is actually the general location for the course, for the session. So I can say my training venue. Okay, you can add a cover image just like we did for the course. And here you can also add some options similar to the course. Payment required. If students are supposed to pay for this to be enrolled into this session, you can set it. A status, which is disabled or enabled. If it's disabled, students can't enroll. The student forum and discussions are just like the options we had for creating the course. So if I click Next. So now the session start date. This is the date that your session is going to start. Then we have the session end date, which is the date typically of the last class in a training session. Now, for when we are creating training sessions, you know, you can add classes of different types into a training session if we select training session with online classes, really. But the start date typically is the date of the first class. End date is the date of the last class. And registration closes. This is if you want to stop enrollment at a particular date. you can set this date. So let's click next. Here you can set your instructor similar to the class. You can set your instructors here. So if I click finish on this, now it says submission field, please attend to the following. You must specify a session start date, which is mandatory. Now I omitted that, so let me go back to all right, session start date. I'm just gonna set today's date, next, and finish. All right, let's wait for that to load. Okay, so we can also add classes here, similar to the way we added classes in online courses. However, we have some new options here. Because you can add classes of different types to your training session, you can add a class as a physical location class or an online class. Now, a physical location class is a class that is going to happen at a particular venue. An online class, on the other hand, is, as the name implied, an online class. We've already covered online classes before. So you can add a description to the class. It's also displayed on the main catalog page when students want to enroll for the course. So it's for the class, for the session. So it's very important that you set a good description. Class groups, similar to the previous option, you can group your classes. So now if I set this to online class, I get some new options here. I get the test required, enforced lecture order, required test. We've covered all this while creating the online course. So these options only appear if I set the class to an online class. And of course, you can also select your existing classes. Here, we get to browse classes of different types that we've created. The class type option here, it should indicate what type of class it is. Is it an online class or is it a physical location class? So you can select your classes here. So I'm just going to add some classes, some existing classes. Let me add this test class. All right, so my test class is added here. Here I can set the opening date, is optional. I can set the time. I can set the class date. For a physical location class, it's class date. Let me add an online class so you can have a better idea. I'll add my first class to this session. Okay, so sorry, let me close that. So here we have class date / opening date. But if we go through the actual options, the actual rules, if it's a physical location class, then this is the class date, which means the date the class is going to hold. And if it's an online class, it's the opening date, which is the date the class opens. Now, physical location classes have the option of start and end time, which online classes do not. So if it's a physical location class, you can actually set the start time and the end time for that class. Then of course you can also specify the venue for that class. So if it's an online class, you'd have the option of managing the lectures for the class, similar to what we had in creating the online course. So we have the start time here. It enables you to select the time the class is going to start, and you can select the time. It's not dates, it's the time that the class is going to end. So that is it for creating a session. So a training session and training session online classes, you create them exactly the same way. The only difference with this is that on the front end, if it's a training session with online classes, then the student will see a button on the page for this session telling them that they can take online classes. So if you know that you're going to add online classes to the course, to the session, then you should make this as a training session with online classes. You can also change the type of the session. If I go back to my courses and sessions, over here I have this my training session. The type is training session. If I've added online class like I have for this one, I can go and click actions and click change session type. So I can select a drop down is going to appear. Currently it is a training session, but I can make it a training session with online classes. I can submit that, and So we have my training session now is a training session with online classes. So there we have it. So manage, the other options here are quite straightforward. We have manage categories. Let me just go ahead and open these in new tabs. We have manage categories. So that's course categories. Here you can just simply add new categories for you to organize your online courses. So you can add a category name, the description for the category, and enabled or disabled simply means if it's enabled, it would show, the category would show on the main website. If it's on your front end, if it's disabled, then it wouldn't show. Payments list all the different payments that have been received. So this is good for accounting purposes. You can see the students that paid, the payment method they used to pay, the amount that they paid, and the dates they paid. You could also filter your payments through different dates, so you can view your payments. Then you have transactions here, and that students have taken for making payments. I can say the payment method that was for the transaction. So if the transaction was pending, let's say the student used a bank deposit for funds transfer option payment method, then there'll be a button here that says approve. And once this is approved, then the student will be enrolled. So that's it. That's the end of this tutorial. And I hope you now understand how to create your courses and sessions.